Hello, my name is Victoria Vogue. I am a 26-year-old gay Australian drag queen, and this video will be about gay marriage and my feelings. Here's how I feel about gay marriage in Australia. If you don't believe it should be a thing, fuck you. Simple as that. As far as I'm concerned, there is no valid argument against same-sex marriage in Australia. There simply isn't. At least, not a single one which stands up against the argument in support of gay marriage in Australia, which is that everyone should be able to marry the person that they love, regardless of sex or gender. That's it. That's all it is. That's what it comes down to. That everyone in Australia should be equal under law. If you make any kind of argument against same-sex marriage becoming a reality in Australia, what you're saying is that you do not believe that all people should be equal under law. And if you think that way, fuck you. Throughout the history of the gay rights movement in countries all over the world, gay men and women have made the declaration that they are not second-class citizens and they should not be treated as such. I, however, take a different point of view and I would encourage you to see the same. A second-class citizen is defined as a person who, despite being a legal resident of a country, is systematically discriminated against by the state. That is to say, they have limited civil and legal opportunities. Therefore, as a gay Australian, I am a second-class citizen. By telling me that because of who I love, I am unable to enter into a legal marriage with them, my government is affording me lesser civil and legal rights than my heterosexual countrymen and women. And that makes me angry. What surprises me is that I don't see more people being angry about this. At gay rights marches and debates and rallies all over the country, I see people being impassioned. I see people calling for tolerance and understanding and change. But what I don't see in here is enough anger. Where is the anger? Why shouldn't we be angry? We are second class. Second class citizens have a definitional entitlement to anger, as per their place in society. Australia is a young country. Our constitution came into effect in 1901, and as such, we are one of the youngest countries in the world. And yet, we are one of the furthest behind in terms of this issue. As of the time of the recording of this video, there are no fewer than 16 countries worldwide which allow same-sex marriage. These include countries like New Zealand, Argentina, Brazil, Canada, the Netherlands, England and Wales, Norway, South Africa, Portugal, Spain, and of course, parts of the United States and Mexico and Uruguay. Of all the countries mentioned, Australia is the youngest. Even our mother country, England, whose Queen is still technically the head of our government, has recently passed a law through her parliament declaring that same-sex marriage is constitutional and legal. Why is it that Australia is so far behind? There is absolutely no reason for us to be. We are, like every other country on that list, a first world developed country. How much further behind can we be left? And how can a gay Australian like me not be angry about this? Kevin Rudd, the current Australian Prime Minister, is the first Prime Minister on record to say that he is personally in favour of same-sex marriage. And this is good, this is positive, this is progress. However, we have had more than enough time for progress. Look at how many countries have progressed ahead of us. So Kevin Rudd has declared that he will consider a referendum on the issue of gay marriage in Australia. In my view, despite his very welcome personal stance on the issue, this is not enough, and it is in fact an outrage. The decision for marriage equality should not be left to the public to decide, because it will not affect the majority of the public. It simply wouldn't. It would affect the minority, gay men and women who wish to marry. Anyone who is not a gay man or woman wishing to marry will have zero change to report once the decision is ultimately made. There is, of course, the notion that majority should rule, that if the majority of people support a certain idea, then it must be the right one. This is, of course, not the case, as history has demonstrated to us time and time again. There was a time when the majority of white South Africans supported apartheid. There was a time when the majority of Germans supported the Nazi Party, and there was a time when the majority of Americans who could vote supported slavery. Today, no sane person of sound mind could make the claim that any of those ideas were right. And as far as I'm concerned, it is exactly the same with same-sex marriage. It should not be left to a majority vote. It should not be put to a vote. It should be law, not popular consensus. As a person in my mid-20s, I am very aware of the fact that there have been civil rights pioneers who have come and gone, some long before my birth, and I by no means wish to come across as disregarding the work that they have done. I applaud that work. I am in awe of that work. My stance, however, is that the fight for equality has gone on for long enough. It is time for marriage equality to be a reality in Australia. I, as a gay Australian, remain a second-class citizen. And I maintain that until we have full and equal rights under law in this country, anger and resentment are the only logical stances that we can take. I invite you to consider this. Let your cries for marriage equality be heard. Most importantly, let your anger be known. because we are entitled to it.